Good afternoon, Rotarians and guests. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Toledo. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate it. As we get started today, I just want to ask you to take a quick moment to check in for membership engagement. So if you haven't already, you can hit that QR code and let everybody know where you are in Toledo today and that you're joining a lot of dedicated Toledo Rotarians. I'd like to now acknowledge Leadership Toledo as this month's meeting sponsor and thank Rotarians Erica McKellis and Mackenzie Bryant for their support. Thank you very much, Leadership Toledo. I don't know if you guys are in the room. I also want to give them a plug, of course, because Restaurant Week is this week in Toledo. It runs today through March 8th, so check out their website and you can see all the participating restaurants that have lunch and dinner specials, and please go out and enjoy those establishments. At this time, I'd like to ask Anna Collin to please come up to the podium and deliver a reflection as well as lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Scott? Deep breath, I just ran. So. All right. Good afternoon. One of the things that brings people into rooms like this is a shared belief that our time, and our efforts can make a difference in the lives of others. So as we begin today, to get to, my gosh, my mouth and my brain are not working together, so I apologize. As we begin our time together today, let's pause for a moment of reflection. So faith means many things to many people. For some, it is expressed through prayer and sacred traditions. For others, it is found in a quiet confidence that goodness, integrity, and service matter. Some place their faith in God, some in the strength of community, and some in the simple belief that when people come together with good intentions, meaningful change can happen. Whatever form faith takes in our lives, it often calls us to look beyond ourselves. It asks us to act with humility, to listen with compassion, and to serve with purpose. Faith is also what carries people through uncertainty. It is what allows someone to take a first step when an outcome is not guaranteed. It is what helps a community rally around a neighbor in need, and what inspires people to keep working towards something better, even when progress feels slow. In many ways, faith is less about certainty and more about trust. Trust that kindness matters, that service matters, and that the effort we make for others leaves the world a little better than we found it. So as we gather here today, may we carry that spirit with us, faith in the value of service, faith in the strength of community, and faith in our shared ability to make a difference. Thank you. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I would hope if I could see too.
Thank you, Anna. Appreciate that. Does anyone have any guests that they would like to introduce today? Zach is right there in the center of the room with the floor mic. If you'd like to bring your guests forward and please give them a quick introduction for us.
President Scott, I have a whole table full. I will start off with Mohammed Alahania, Dean of the College of Engineering. You can stand. Barbara Ritter, who is Dean of the College of Business and Innovation at the University of Toledo. Jeremiah, next to her, both. He is also at the University of Toledo. Gary Smith, startup entrepreneur guy, doing med device. And Mitchell McKenzie, my buddy, also here doing some fun, good stuff. Mike Vanderpool, who runs Anthony Wayne Innovations. And Tom Bush, who is the co-founder of Actuality Technologies. My friend Darren Moore, who is working on defense initiatives and other interesting things. Real entrepreneur guy. So those are my guests.
Great, thanks, Brent. Appreciate it. Mike's a member, but we can say Mike's a guest. That's fine. Okay, Raina.
Hi, President,
Hi, Karen.
and fellow Rotarians. I'd like to introduce my guest today is Dr. Archer with Eden Educational. Thank you so much.
Great. Welcome.
Hello, fellow Rotarians. My guest today is Carrie Arnold, who is our Vice President of Workforce Development and Career Training at Cherry Street Mission.
Welcome.
Thank you, Ann. Thank you, President Scott. I've got two of my colleagues with me today. Caroline Thomas, who is one of our college specialists and worked with a number of students who are at University of Toledo already, and a number coming this next fall. And then Michelle Bissell, who is actually the manager of our college team, in addition to our director of accounting. So glad to be here today.
Great. Thanks, Bob. Welcome.
Hello, President Scott and fellow Rotarians. It is my pleasure to introduce Sam Samantha Poliski, and she is with LPL Financial.
Great.
First time.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave. Welcome, Sam. All right, appreciate it. Additional special welcome to the junior achievement students who are here with us today. Feel free to stick around after the meeting if you would like, as the JA students are going to hear from Rotarian Tom Daniels today about emotional intelligence in leadership. So that's an opportunity for you after the meeting. I'm also pleased to welcome a very special guest with us today, Brian Hall, the Rotary International Director for our Zone 30 as well as Zone 31, has joined us. Brian is a past district governor, and he lives in the Covington, Louisiana area. But he was in Ohio this last weekend because on Saturday they had the Legacy League dinner. And so he has been kind enough to come join us today and share a few words with the club. So please welcome Brian Hall.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. Thank you. Well, good afternoon. All right, that was not bad. How are we here in OH? I really just do that because I've learned I can. It is a lot of fun. We had the Zone Institute in Columbus back in September, which is fantastic. I know that some of you were there. Tremendous time here in Ohio with the Rotarians. That next event is actually taking place in New Orleans. And to give you a little idea of my role in Rotary, I'm a volunteer just like you are. And clubs are organized into districts. Districts are then organized into zones, and the primary job of the zone is to select someone to sit on the Rotary International Board of Directors. And that's a 2-year term, which I am currently inhabiting. I lead 60,000 Rotarians. That's exactly as much fun as you think it would be. It's been a great, great journey. Every step along my journey. When I was club president, smaller club than yours, obviously, my question to myself was, I've got about 30 people here who are civic-minded. And if I can get 30 people pointed in the same direction for 1 year, what can we achieve? And so the question for you is 300 in a year. And then I became district governor, and the question was, if I can get 2,100 civic-minded people pointed in the same direction for a year, what can we achieve? And now the question is, if we can get 60,000 pointed in the same direction for 2 years, what can we achieve? It's an amazing opportunity. I think Rotary leadership is actually one of the great opportunities that's available to anyone. And I applaud you for taking that. And obviously, Candace, as you move into your next year, and Catherine as district governor-elect, these are amazing, amazing opportunities. So I encourage you all. I encourage you to engage. There are a lot of opportunities for that coming up. The next Zone Institute will be held down in New Orleans. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's not a bad place to go spend a few days. Come down and join the fun, meet Rotarians. It's going to be an amazing event. That'll be happening at the end of August. It's going to be warm. We're going to allow you to dress casually. It's going to be a lot of fun. The other one coming up, obviously, is the Rotary International Convention taking place in Taipei. That's going to be amazing. Take a chance. If you have not gone to an international convention, if you can't make Taipei or Dubai, it will be coming to Minneapolis afterwards. Go. You have not seen the international nature of Rotary International until you go to a convention. It is truly breathtaking. So thank you so much for allowing me to be with you here today. It's a pleasure to see your club. I'm excited. All of these visitors make my heart swell with pride. I love to see you guys working on that. Membership matters, and membership only happens when we think about it. Thank you all for your hard work. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Brian. Appreciate it. Thanks for coming today to address our club. We really value your time, and I know you're busy, so we appreciate it. And absolutely, I mean, the international conferences are fantastic. I think I've told the club before that I attended the one in Canada last year, and it's just an amazing event, the number of people and how many ideas everybody has and what they share with each other. So it is a great opportunity, including as well as the zone meetings and other meetings. All right, now I'd like to ask past President Dick Wolf and the chair of our foundation to join me at the podium for a 1912 Fellow presentation. That's actually a really good point. Hold on.
Is past President Riaz Chaudhry here?
Yeah, there he is.
Come on up, Riaz. As Riaz is coming up, we all know the importance of the Toledo Rotary Foundation. We give $250,000 a year to local charities and some international causes. And that is only possible because of generous donations from Rotarians like all of you. There is a special level of recognition for donations, and that's the 1912 Fellowship, which is a donation in one Rotary year of $1,000 or more. And I am very pleased this morning, or now this afternoon, to award this recognition of the 1912 Fellowship to past President Riaz Chaudhry.
I just want to say that it's truly a joy to belong to this club and support it. Thank you.
Thank you, past President Dick, and congratulations, Riaz. All right, let's get to today's program. Board member Zach Isaac, would you please come to the podium and introduce our speaker today?
Well, President Scott, I wasn't going to do this, but Brian opened the door. TOL. We have a lot of UT folks here today at this table up front. Our CFO, we've got the foundation folks, we've got admissions, we've got EVP of UT Health, we've got some special assistants. So it was too many people, we weren't sure who was coming, but there's an entire table. So please, afterwards, feel free to come up and meet the UT folks we have here. Dr. James Holloway was named the 19th president of UT last summer. A nuclear engineer, Dr. Holloway's career has been a mix of research, teaching, administration, and global work, including India, Ethiopia, and Ghana. Throughout his career, he has championed inclusive excellence, expanded research capacity, and fostered civic partnerships. Dr. Holloway joins UT from the University of New Mexico, where he served as provost and executive vice president for academic affairs since July 2019 until he came to UT. He was also a professor in the Department of Nuclear Engineering. As provost, Dr. Holloway has been committed to providing students and faculty with the support needed to further the university to academic mission and make a positive impact in a diverse and constantly evolving world. During his tenure, his first-year students at University of Mexico, during his tenure, new first-year students increased by over 40%, reversing a long decline in enrollment. Research expenditures in academic affairs units grew by 46%, and philanthropic giving doubled. Before that, Dr. Holloway served 3 decades at the University of Michigan, where he was the Arthur Thurman Professor and Professor of Nuclear Engineering and Radiological Science, now emeritus. He held leadership roles, including a vice provost for global engagement, interdisciplinary academic affairs, vice provost for global and engaged education, and associate dean for undergraduate education. In the College of Engineering, his research is focused on computational and mathematical modeling with applications in such areas as neutron and photon radiation, transport theory, inverse problems, and uncertainty quantification. And I have no idea what that means. Born in Washington, D.C. into an Army family, James has lived in Thailand, Germany, England, and 6 different U.S. states. Dr. Holloway earned bachelor and master's degrees in nuclear engineering from the University of Illinois, completed advanced graduate work in mathematics at Cambridge University, and earned a doctorate in engineering physics from the University of Virginia. Off script, on a personal basis, as a UT trustee, I want to share with everybody on a personal basis, I believe James is the right person at the right time and the right chair at the University of Toledo at this time. James.
Hang on, they told me how to turn this on. But I didn't listen. That's a real president right there. So I'm going to hold the microphone because I'll probably move around a little bit because I have slides here I want folks to see. So I'm really in a pickle because I was going to start this off with a good TOL and Zach stole it from me. But that's okay. Welcome and thanks for coming today. Really appreciate your time. I really have one goal for this talk, and that is I would like everyone to leave here today knowing something new about the University of Toledo. Some of you have heard me speak before. Some of you are going to know some of the things I say. My bet is nobody here knows everything I'm about to say. And so that's really my primary goal is for you to take away, oh, there's something about the University of Toledo I didn't know, and that's cool. Like, for example, dollar for dollar, we create twice as many startup companies than the university, than Ohio State. Whoa, that's pretty cool. Now, there was a trick in there. It's dollar per dollar. They spend a lot more dollars. But still, it speaks to the efficiency of the university in some ways. I have a set of themes I sometimes talk about, our promise, our purpose, and our pride. Those will appear through here. I won't hit them very explicitly, but some of you have heard me talk about those. But I'll note them. But a lot of what I want to do today is about pride. I want to boast about the University of Toledo because it's a pretty amazing, amazing institution. So I'm going to organize myself around these questions. Who did we come from? Where is our place? What are we? And when is the future? So let's start with, who did we come from? Well, so here's, interesting. We may have an image issue. Imagine a lovely picture of University Hall built in 1931, filling the large white space. And I'm hoping, praying that we don't have a lot more of those imaginative exercises in today's talk. But in any event, so 1872, by the way, these are the 5 dates I think of as critical dates in the history of the University of Toledo. 1872, Jessup Scott donates 160 acres of land saying, we're going to create a university in Toledo to advance the city, to provide the young people in the city with the training they need, the education they need to be successful in their professions. That's our founding promise, that we will be about this place, this region, and that we will be about helping advance this place through the education of those young people, through helping them be successful in their professions. 1884, we became a manual training school. That's really kind of a high school as part of the city. 1911, we became an independent university, independent from the city. 1967, Public State University, but in 1964, something else happened. The Medical College of Ohio was founded, not part of the University of Toledo, but a parallel path with us until in 2006, we were merged with what was then called the Medical University of Ohio. And now, 2026. I don't know if this is one of those seminal years,
But yeah, this is where we've come from. This is how we've gotten where we've gotten. And so what do? We provide education and discovery in many fields. You see some appearing here: business, medicine, engineering, arts and sciences, law, pharmacy, all flying in. Professional education has always been central to the University of Toledo. So in fact, if you look at this list, so I've actually put it together in a special way. So we've got a bunch of disciplines up here, a bunch of fields, a bunch of colleges, if you like. Which was first at the University of Toledo? It was pharmacy, followed by law, followed by education, arts, and social sciences. These are in reverse order of their coming into existence within our university. Our very first colleges were professional schools: pharmacy, law. In fact, one of our very first schools was a school of medicine. We took over what was then called the Toledo College of Medicine. It did not survive through the great transformations that happened to medical schools at the start of the 20th century, owing to the Flexner Report. But here we are. What are we? We're a set of professional schools in a very large degree. Not every university is like that. Some universities are really liberal arts schools with professional colleges attached around them. We are at our core. We are our professional schools. So where is our place? Oh, damn, it is going to repeat. This is going to be so much more fun than I thought. Imagine a map of the Toledo region. The technical guys are over there in the corner going like, oh shit, how do we fix this? We have 4 sites. I'm going to click through pictures, but the pictures won't be there. Now, most people think we have 2 sites. You think of our campus on Bancroft Street, what we sometimes call main campus, and you think of our medical center, where the hospital is, and where some of our health professions schools are. But we have 2 other sites people don't think about enough. One is the Center for Visual Arts. We have 2 buildings on the campus of the Toledo Museum of Art. One of those buildings is actually connected to the museum. You can walk into our Department of Art, walk through a door, and you're in the museum. That's pretty unusual to have a Department of Art located on the grounds of one of the best art museums in the country. And in, by the way, a building designed by Frank Gehry, an amazing, well-known architect. So that's our 3rd site. I call that our 3rd campus. And then over in Oregon, you can see Oregon, right? Over in Oregon on Lake Erie, we have the Lake Erie Center, where we do aquatic research of various kinds. I would have said some of those things during the next set of slides, but as you see, they're really boring. I'm getting terrified. Okay, so what are we? Well, this is what I like to describe us as. We're a metropolitan research university and academic health system focused on the professional success of our students after they graduate, and where we pursue research and advance human knowledge and deliver cures for our patients. And then we remain in service to Ohio and our place and its people. And every element in here has a piece to it. And I'm going to talk about them here because on the next set of slides where I was going to talk about them, we have another set of boring slides. So a metropolitan research university. So first and foremost, we're a research university. So this is a place where learning happens, in a place where knowledge is always new. We're constantly advancing human knowledge, and we do that at a very high level. We're an academic health center. So we're not only a university, but our university teaches health science professions and does so with its own clinical platform. Our hospital, our clinics around the state. That's a special kind of thing. And we're focused on the professional success of our students after they graduate. Not just do they graduate. A lot of universities measure success as, did you graduate? Or look at graduation rates. Good thing, but I'm much more interested in, do you graduate able to pursue and be successful in whatever your aspiration is? If it's to go to work for Owens Corning, do you succeed in that? If it's to go to medical school, do you succeed in that? Are you successful post-graduation. That, to me, is what's important. And while we attract learners from all across the world, we do research that impacts the world, we do research on some of the most remote objects in the universe, every day we also wake up and think, are we serving Northwest Ohio? Are we serving this region? Because that's our promise. That's what we promised Jessup Scott when we took that 160 acres of land. We would never, ever forget that we're rooted in this place. Oh, I think I turned it off too. What's that? I think they're doing something. I saw this slide. This was a good slide. The background graphic works and everything. So, you know, one of the reasons I thought this was a great opportunity for me to come and talk to the Rotary, I've been in the audience a couple of times, you know, a few people noticed, but you know, is to become more familiar with folks in the community, and I think that's really important, and something that happened to me recently, I think, emphasized that point. So this is a true story. I was out in the community a couple of months ago, met a very nice man, and he came up to me, and he looked me up and down, and he said, "You don't look so old in person." It's true. So I'm hoping you will all leave here today with that, as well as some new interesting fact about the institution. How are we doing over there, guys? I'm going to run out of jokes. But it was only funny because it's true. So let me keep going a little bit. So I'm gonna tell you about some of the things that are going on at the university that I think are pretty cool. And so I want you to imagine for a moment, you know, it's a bright sunny day, right? And so think about the sun. It's out there in the sky, it's kind of yellowish. If you look at what the sun is made of, 1.4% of it is made of heavy elements, what astronomers call metals. And by that they mean it's not hydrogen, it's not helium, it's something heavier. It's carbon, it's iron, it's oxygen, whatever. 1.4% of the sun is made of heavy stuff. How'd it get there? Because you can't make heavy stuff without a star. And our star can't have made that much heavy stuff. It's not making heavy stuff yet. So where'd the heavy stuff come from? There must have been another star that made heavy stuff before our sun came into existence. Those stars are called population 2 stars. There's older stars, there's other generation of stars that came before our sun. And think about the Milky Way. It's kind of this big flat disk and then a bulge. That bulge is made up of, has those population 2 stars. Those older stars are in the bulge, the newer stars are in that disk. When you look at those older stars, we've done that, they've got heavy stuff in them. Not as much as the sun, but heavy stuff. How'd it get there? There must have been a generation of stars before our sun, before that previous generation, that made the heavy stuff. Those stars are made of hydrogen and helium. They're about 1,000 times the mass of the sun. That'd make them maybe 10 times the radius of the sun. And we've just discovered those stars in a galaxy called LAP-1b, 13 billion light years away. University of Toledo researchers have just observed those stars. Those have been hypothesized since the 1960s, and we just found them. That's pretty cool. And we're back. So I already talked about this stuff, so I won't do it again. So I'm gonna come back to some things related to the stars, but there's nothing new. There's new news here, right? So we provide education, we develop the workforce, research, discovery, innovation. We provide healthcare in an environment of learning and discovery. That's a different kind of healthcare. And we provide extension of our expertise to the public. Those are the things we do. And so how does this play out? So here I was talking about the oldest stars in the universe. By the way, artist's rendition, you can't actually take a photo of them like that. They're 13 billion light years away. But again, we just discovered those that folks have said since the 1960s have to be out there somewhere. Dean Alahania is sitting over here from the College of Engineering. Something else, another way that our work plays out, every single student in his college has a full year of co-op experience. And what does that mean? When those students graduate and they go out and they're going to interview for a company, they're not interviewing for their first job. They're interviewing for their second or their third job. That puts them at a real advantage. It puts them in a place where they can really shine when they start in that kind of, in their professional work. Imagine you're laying down. Your heart is about here. It's at the same level as your feet, same level as your head. And you stand up. You change your posture. Suddenly your feet are down there, your head's up here, there's all kind of fluid shifting around, the blood wants to run down to your feet and out of your head, and your body has a system driven by the autonomic nervous system to fix all that. Make sure that the blood goes where it needs to go and that the pressures are correct and everything else. Except some people have this thing, postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which speaks to postural orthostatic. It's about the hydrostatic pressures of blood. Tachycardia, because your heart starts to race. Some people, when they change posture, their autonomic nervous system, their capillaries, their heart can't adjust properly. It's a debilitating condition. And in Blair Grubb, we have one of the world's experts on diagnosing this and treating this malady. That's something about the University of Toledo that's pretty special. Sturgeon, everybody loves a good sturgeon. So sturgeon used to be a very common fish in the Great Lakes. It's been overfished and eliminated for various reasons. And there's a lot of work going on across the Great Lakes to restore the sturgeon, including our partnership with the Toledo Zoo, where we are working to restore sturgeon to the Maumee River so they can find spawning grounds in the Maumee River and repopulate the region in a self-sustaining way. And that's a long-term project. These fish live to 100, 150 years. They start spawning in their 20s and 30s. And so introducing them now, it's a long time before you see the payoff. But that's the kind of work that's going on to restore this fish. And by the way, they eat zebra mussels, so they're an awfully useful fish. So here are some things that we are. We're the only very high research activity university in the region, an R1 university, as we say in the biz. We're the region's only academic medical center. And we're the least expensive R1 university in Ohio. So these are net prices for undergraduates to attend college, all the way from University of Miami at a whopping $27,600, all the way down to Youngstown State, $11,000. Of all the R1 universities marked through here, here's the University of Toledo. We're the least expensive, and we cost net less than the average in the state. So we're not only an amazing research university, we're not only an amazing academic health center, we provide those experiences to students for a lower net price than any other research university in the state, including the private ones, which are really expensive. And our students, after they graduate, have the fourth highest net incomes 1 year after graduation of all of the universities in the state. So there's Ohio University, Cincinnati, University of Toledo. Oop, we beat Ohio State again. By the way, by the end of this talk, it will be a tie with Ohio State. So, but again, less than average net price, meaning after we net in financial aid and all of the support we give students. One of the least expensive, the least expensive R1, and lower than the average in the state, and yet students come out fourth highest in terms of their salary immediately after they get out. And that tends to hold. Here's 5 years after students get out, and now University of Toledo is fifth, and Ohio State jumped ahead, darn it. But still, pretty good deal for those students. So an amazing, excellent place doing cutting-edge research in healthcare, and yet we're quite accessible to students. We provide educational experiences for over 17,000 students every year. We do over $76 million in research funding and graduate 100 research doctorates. And we support over 200,000 patient visits annually in our clinics and our hospital. And we even have pictures to prove it. Here's a question. What are the winningest programs in the nation in conference play over the last decade? And this is in football, men's basketball, women's basketball. Winningest programs. Who's the most winning? Well, shoot. And then we got Boise State. And then guess what? Think about that. Who's number 4? I don't care. Because we're third in the nation. That's pretty amazing, right? This is how often do you win in conference play? That's pretty cool. We also partner. We're not just an island into ourselves. This is just a few examples. We partner with Toledo Public Schools on the early college high school, which is on Bancroft. Most of the students in that school are taking classes in our classrooms right now. We partner with Owens on a program, for example, Rocket Express. Students can apply to Owens and U-Toledo simultaneously and start their journey at Owens and complete it at Toledo. And we partner with both at the same time on the Scott Park campus. We're working to develop a program where students will go through high school, get their associate's degree by the time they finish high school, so they get their associates in high school at the same time and be ready for the final 2 years of their bachelor's, for example, as teachers who TPS very much wants to hire. And it's not just about educational partnerships. The Northwest Ohio Glass Innovation Hub is a gathering of many of the companies involved in the glass industry and the solar industry in the area, and the universities in the area to partner on that important technology for our region. So let's talk about the future. When is the future? Well, let me say first what I think about. So I think about 3 things every day. I think about enrollment, I think about research, and I think about community. I think about, enrollment. Why do I think about enrollment? Because it's mission. I want as many people as possible, young people, middle-aged people, old people, everybody. I want as many people as possible to be able to get the benefit that comes from a education at the University of Toledo. That's about helping uplift lives, transforming their lives, their families' lives, their communities' lives. I think about research. How can we have a bigger impact on the economy of this region? How can we have a bigger impact on mankind as a whole through the creation of knowledge? How do we do that? How do we grow that? We're at a very high level already. We can only go up. And community. How do we care for more patients? How do we contribute more to the growth of this region and the well-being of this region? How do we live into that promise that every day we think about our roots are here in Northwest Ohio and we were formed with the promise to advance this region? Those are the things I think about. Here are some of the ways that we're trying to move those issues forward, if you will. And so I call these the Toledo initiatives, and some of you have heard me say this. We're not just a university in Toledo, we're the university for Toledo. So I'm always thinking about how are we advancing the region. And so Advantage Toledo, this is a program we've just launched for every undergraduate coming into the University of Toledo next fall. They will have an experience-based learning opportunity, like those co-ops in engineering, like the internships in the business school, like clinical placements in nursing. Every single one of our students will have that kind of developmental experience, like the research, the cutting-edge research that our students in physics do, every student. Very few universities promise that to every student. And we're making that promise, and we're making it happen. Innovate Toledo. This is about growing our research, but specifically growing our research in ways that are where the research questions are driven by the opportunities and challenges of this region. We've done a lot of that. Think about the work that we did to contribute to addressing the water crisis in Toledo, ensuring that drinking water is safe. Our water task force is on that constantly and still. And so the crisis is past, if you will, but even today, our researchers, our faculty, our students are looking at the issues of algal blooms and how we manage those and how we address their formation, how we avoid the toxins getting in our drinking water and so on. So when we talk about Innovate Toledo, it's that. And how do we grow the economy of this region? Through supporting the companies that are here and creating new companies who can advance the region. And then Healthy Toledo. This is not a healthy county. This county, Lucas County, rates 79th out of 88 counties in Toledo in terms of health outcomes. And yet here we are, we educate the healthcare workforce, we have a clinical health platform, and we do public health work. All the things you need to do to address health, and no other single organization in the region does all three. So we are uniquely placed to contribute to improving health outcomes in the region. And so the future is now. I hope that you learned at least one new thing that you didn't know before about the University of Toledo. Thank you, go Rockets, and I'm happy to take questions. I understand we have a microphone at the back of the room.
Thank you very much, James. Vince Croce, VC, the MC, Rocket graduate, 1988. If you ever give a class on improvisational speaking on the stage, I'll sign up. If you were to come back here 5 years from now, you painted a picture of what you're working on towards the future. What do you think you'd be saying to an audience in 5 years about where UT is at then? Thank you.
Sure, great question. By the way, you're all assuming we didn't plan that whole thing? So where will we be in 5 years? So here's my vision of where we will be in 5 years. And I think I'm going to say some things that people go like, yeah, sure, we've heard that before, but I think this is doable. So I see us bringing more students to the University of Toledo. I see us growing our enrollment at both the undergraduate and the graduate level, and I think the graduate level is important for us. The professional master's degrees that we do are a unique benefit to folks in the region. So I think we can do that, and I think we will be doing that in 5 years. I have some goals in mind, but I haven't shown them to my board, so I'm not going to tell them to you, because Zach will be like, well, you got to tell me first. But we'll be on that growth trajectory in terms of the number of students studying at the University of Toledo. We've been on a growth trajectory, increasing our research portfolio. We're going to continue to do that. I think one shift that we'll see is an increased emphasis on research with industrial partners. And so we have an amazing new Vice President for Research, Grace Bohenek, who has just joined us a few weeks ago. That's part of her focus. That's part of what she's done in her previous work. So we're going to see a continued increase in the impact of our research work. And as part of that, an increased engagement with industries. And by the way, University of Toledo has been really out front in engaging with industry in many ways for a long time. So it's really doing even more in that space. It's one of the things that excited me about the University of Toledo. We're in the right place to do that. Not every university is situated in a place where there's so many companies and so many different, needing so many different disciplines of technical expertise to support their operations. And so I think we're in a great place to do that. And we're already working on growing our healthcare platform. We're seeing increased patient visits in our hospital. We're working to see increased patient visits in our clinics as well. And so fundamentally, the picture I'm painting is, I expect in 5 years that we will see the University of Toledo on a solid growth path in all of our mission elements.
Thank you, Dr. Holloway, for your time today. The question I have, I was listening to a Harvard Business Review webinar this morning that actually referenced how traditional education, a 4-year program and using that degree for years ahead is a thing of the past. As we all know, AI has come to play. In your perspective, I love the Advantage program, experiential learning. How does the university want to position itself to create more agile learners, to have a more relevant curriculum in the places where it matters? And also, what role does critical thinking play in that?
How long you got? So a few things on that. So one is, two things are happening simultaneously. One is people are saying, well, when do we stop learning? And the other is life expectancies are increasing, right? And so the answer to when do we stop learning is never. And the fact that life expectancies are increasing, the time that someone spends in their career is increasing. And so many people are working today in their career, thriving, contributing, doing extremely well, who 30 years ago would be retired already. So people are spending a longer time in their career. That has a few implications. One is you cannot expect that the 12 plus 4, 16 years of education that our current system is built on is the right tool to completely support a 40 or 50 year a career. And yet that's what we're seeing, right? We're seeing people in the workforce contributing for that long. And so that system has to change in some ways, right? It does not say to me that therefore you should do less, like let's get rid of high school because people are going to learn later. It says to me that what you do in those first years, sort of let's call it K through 16, is set a foundation for the learning that has to happen later. So that K through 16 has to both prepare someone for their earliest roles and prepare them for what happens later. Because later they're going to want to come back. They're going to need to learn something new. Barb Kopp-Miller is here. She's working at the moment with a number of company partners to create both for-credit and non-credit programs to support their employees in their educational needs. We're going to see more of that. And when I said earlier, I think we're going to see more graduate education, Toledo's uniquely positioned there. That's part of that. So we're going to see folks who finish their bachelor's, go to work for a while, and then come back and need a certificate or need a master's or whatever it is. We're going to see more of that. Then the other piece is, there's a question about, well, what's going to happen to first jobs, what's going to happen to entry-level positions. And there's sort of this narrative out there, entry-level positions will go away, replaced by AI, and I know that's not true because then there'll be nobody to take over the non-entry-level positions, right? So there will be some way in which folks come into the workforce. You can call that an entry-level position. It will be different work, but it's still an entry-level position. But one of the roles of experiential education is to get people engaged with unscripted activities, with the wisdom that comes from having to make decisions and live with your decisions, to get folks into that earlier, get them into that during their undergraduate experience. Because here's something I believe. Universities talk a lot about critical thinking, but we exercise only a piece of critical thinking in our traditional curricular structures. There's a whole set of critical thinking which is involved in, can I make a choice? Can I make a decision? If there's no right answer, can I pick a path forward? Can I deal with ambiguity? That's what experiential learning is really good at preparing people for, putting them in a position where they have to deal with ambiguity. What's happening is unscripted. When I give you a homework assignment, I know the answer. But when I put you in an experiential learning opportunity, I don't know the answer. You don't know the answer. We're going to figure it out. That's the learning that comes from that is part of developing a critical thinking skills. How do I analyze this situation? How do I use what I know? How do I find new information? How do I evaluate evidence to make a choice, even though there's no guarantee it's the right choice? And that's the real world. And so we're trying to create more of that environment for students younger, so that as they move into those first jobs, they're not like the old first jobs. It's kind of more like they're moving into their second job.
Dr. Holloway, thank you for the presentation and maneuvering the difficulties. In case of emergency, my baby was able to step in. He was ready there. Alana Machenko here, UT Law alumni, and my question is how the international department doing, how the international students are navigating the current atmosphere and political switch and change. Thanks.
Sure. Thank you for the question. So there's no question one of the things we're seeing is a decrease in international student interest in the United States. Part of that is really driven by a sense that the United States is not welcoming for international students. 20 years ago, international students didn't have a lot of choices. If they wanted a really good education, the US was it. A lot of other nations have really upped their ability to support international students, so we now compete for international students on an international stage. And these are really smart people. These are amazing contributors. These are folks who have started many of the companies in the United States that we know that are names. And at the moment, what's happening is a lot of those students are choosing not even to apply. They're choosing not to look at universities in the United States. The other thing that's happening to some of them is that they apply, they get in, but the visa approval process has become extremely slow. We have students who were admitted almost a year ago who still don't have visas. They're probably not coming, they're going to Australia. So there's that piece of it. The other piece of it is our students, international students who are on campus, who I think can rightfully be nervous about what's going to happen to them. For those folks, we have a lot of supports on campus. Our international office provides a lot of programming for our international students so that we want them to know that they are welcome here. We don't control everything that happens with respect to their status here, but we want them to know that they are welcome. I personally think that I would love to see more international students at the University of Toledo. We're not a university that says because we took this student, that student can't come. We try and keep our doors open. Having those really smart people on our campus in our community here in Northwest Ohio, I think is a positive, but there are certainly challenges in that right now.
Thank you, Dr. Holloway. Mike Vanderpool here. I have a simple question, I think. What would it take for the University of Toledo to have a presence in downtown Toledo?
Well, I have two answers. One we already do because I live there. Second, it's not quite downtown, but our arts campus is at the intersection of Uptown and Old Orchard. So I always like to bring people back to remind them we're not all the way out at Bancroft. We are on Monroe Street, right at the Art Museum. But folks are thinking, down near the waterfront. And my answer to that is the right idea with the right business model. I have some notions. I don't know that I have the business model for those notions, but that to me is the answer. It's the right idea with the right business model. By the way, I would like to see it happen. I think maybe it's because I live there. There's a lot of cool stuff going on downtown. I'm enjoying it. Again, I think if we find the right idea and the right way to make it happen, then the barriers aren't a lack of will, it's a lack of the right thing with the right way to finance it.
Dr. Holloway, Brent Cousineau, UT alum, and thank you for being here. Thank you for saying yes to UT Toledo and coming here to Toledo. My question really revolves around the issue that I see Toledo has. And I think UT Toledo, when you say University for Toledo, that really caught my attention, FOR. And so the need we have is job creation, wealth creation. It's been going very much the wrong direction. It's very clear. You know that. You did your homework before you came here. And so one of the biggest things UT Toledo can do for Toledo is to get grads to stay here, create a business, create wealth, help grow businesses here. We are on a wrong trajectory on that. And I know we have a lot of noteworthy successes in our town, but if you look at the total picture, it's not pretty, and UT Toledo could really help in that. So I'm curious about your thoughts that way. And then why Toledo for you?
Wow, two big questions. And last one, I'm guessing. Okay. So let me take the second one first. Why Toledo for me? I really wanted to be at a university that's about its place. Not every university is. You heard earlier I spent 30 years at the University of Michigan, loved the place, made a huge difference for me. But the University of Michigan is not about Michigan. It's something else. Harvard is not about Boston. The University of Toledo is about this region, and I specifically wanted that. I wanted a university that's about its place. I think that's how higher education restores some of the lack of, the loss of confidence that's happened to it. People actually support the university where they are. And what I tell people at the university all the time is nobody owes us anything. If we do work that is important and of value to the people who support us, they will support us. And so for me, really, fundamentally, why University of Toledo? It's because it's about its place. As far as graduates staying, couldn't agree more. One of the things that I'm trying to do is bring more students from outside the region into the region. We can be a net attractor of people. Some of those folks will stay. So we can bring talent into the region as well as developing the talent that is here. Keeping people here is a multidimensional problem. There are things the university can do. We can help students see the region, understand its assets and its wonderful value while they're here, so that when they're done, they might go, yeah, I actually enjoyed being in Toledo. I liked the things that were in Toledo. We can do more to help incubate companies in the region, because some of those companies will be companies that keep students here because they worked on them when they were students. So that's another way we can do it. But it is a much bigger and more multidimensional issue. You can't force somebody to stay. The entire community has to create the environment in which people say, I want to stay. And so there are things the university can do, but there are things we need all of you to do as well, and the organizations in Toledo and in the neighborhood and in the region to make people think, make people say, oh yeah, I want to be there, and there's great opportunities for me there in my career, there's great opportunities for me there socially, there's great opportunities for me there for the future. That's what we need to do. So, and I will stop there and hand the microphone off, but first, TOL.
Thank you, Dr. Holloway. Stay here for a second. I just want to thank you for your time today. We really appreciate you coming, obviously, to the club and making the presentation. I commend you on your wit and your wisdom during our technical difficulties, so thank you very much for that. And also, as a token of our appreciation, we'd like to provide you this book, Historical Tales of Toledo, which is actually authored by one of our own past presidents, Clint Mock. We will also make a donation to the Polio Plus Fund in your name as well. So thank you again for your time today. We really appreciate it.
Quite the history buff. So.
Oh, good. Excellent. Okay. Thanks for everyone sticking around for the program today. We appreciate it, and I just want to let you know a couple reminders. Join us next week when we welcome Kimberly Kaufman, the Executive Director of the Black Swamp Bird Observatory. She's going to talk about the upcoming birding season and the biggest week in birding. Next week's meeting will also be at the Huntington Center, so please pay attention to that. We will provide details on how to get over to the Huntington Center, where to enter, as well as where to park in the spoke, so please open your spoke for that next week. Reminder also that there's a new member orientation this week. It's on Wednesday morning. It'll be from 7:30 a.m. until 9 a.m. in Summit A in this building. Again, as we talked about before, if you've joined in the last 2 years, please make sure that you attend a membership orientation. It's extremely helpful, helps explain the structure of our club, helps you understand where you can get involved, and answers as many questions as we possibly can. There are 3 meetings today. The club board is meeting in Summit A. The foundation trustees are meeting in Summit B. And later this afternoon at 4 o'clock, the Community Services Committee will be meeting at Maumee Bay Brewing Company. So again, thank you for everyone's attendance today. Please make sure that you go out and unite some people for good this week, and we are adjourned.